Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Knit Chat Cafe. My name is Noelle, and this is my friend,
Kelly.
And we are a mostly knitting podcast coming to you from Southwestern Ontario, Canada. And we are both in Southwestern Ontario this week. Well, we have been for the last 2 weeks, but it seems like it's been a while that we've had a few consecutive ones all from the same place.
It won't be much longer, though.
No, but thank you so much for joining us. We love chatting with everyone. And this is our Tuesday evening kind of informal talk about, what we're knitting, what are our plans, what we finished, what we bought. So welcome. It's been, I finally feel like I'm starting to feel like I'm home.
Good.
Because I was away for 3 weeks, home for 3 days, and then away again for 2.5 weeks. And then we got home last Tuesday and then had a shower for my daughter-in-law on Sunday. And now it's like, I can just
take a breath,
and for me, relax.
I'm starting to feel that way too, because I am home, and last Friday was my last day at Brigden Fair. So I am back to my happy retired life, and the weekend was really busy, getting things done around the house and getting the outside gardens put back to bed for the winter. And the leaves are falling and they don't stop. So there's lots of yard cleanup. But finally, yes, today was kind of a chill day. I got a chance to just kind of hang out at home, do a few things around the house, but also get in a little knit time. Mm-hmm. So it's feeling good for me again too. It feels good. So
I did not get dressed today till like 11 o'clock.
Okay. Fair confession here. I did not get up until 8:45 today. So
oh well.
I had a lovely lie-in, as some would call it.
I'd already finished 2 pairs of socks by then.
Anyway. Hi, Emily from Chilliwack. I haven't met you yet, Emily, from Chilliwack. I will be there at the end of the year. We're heading out there at mid-December to spend Christmas with the kids in Chilliwack. So if you are near any coffee shops or whatever, reach out to me. That'd be great. I'd love to have a nitty visit. I also want to say a special hello to Netta May and Frankie, who got the chat going today. Thanks so much. And also sending well wishes to Frankie.
Healing vibes.
Who has pneumonia. So she wasn't well enough to go to her class tonight, but she is well enough to hang out with us. So thank you, Frankie, for hanging out with us. And we are sending you all the good healing vibes from the 2 good witches on a pre-Halloween show. Yeah,
we hope that you're feeling better soon, and hopefully you can still knit.
So absolutely. Okay, and I'm also reading what Emily is saying. She just finished cleaning up a 2-liter bottle of olive oil. Okay, that is not fun. It dropped and smashed on our kitchen floor. That is not fun. Your kitchen floor will be so shiny, though. That's all I can say.
And slippery.
And slippery, yes. Yes. Don't go in there in socks. All right.
Okay, so we should get this ball rolling here. So
let's get it rolling.
Okay, so I went through emails to see if there was any questions. And this wasn't a question, but this was just a comment from Helen. And Helen said that she actually has, and they're from Addie, but they're called Crazy Trio. Okay. And they're kind of like the Flexi Flips. So we're still getting lots of comments about the Flexi Flips, but these ones are bamboo. So I don't know if that's why the different name, but these ones are bamboo. And I've got a couple of pictures here that she sent, because we had talked last week about, losing one because you've got your stitches on 2 needles and then you've got like an empty needle. So first of all, I'll show you here a picture of the bamboo. So you can see they're called Addie Crazy Trio. bamboo, but they look, I mean, I don't know what the length of them are, but hers are obviously sock needle size. They're 2.25 millimeter. And then she says that when she's not knitting, she stores each end of the needles inside a Knit Pro case.
Oh,
So they're enclosed. Now I don't see if she's got the third needle in there, but there's probably room to put your third needle in there too. So
I see the third one. I can see the
it's
third
in
one.
there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got both ends on them, so you can't lose them. They can't fall off. Now I don't know where you get those Knit Pro cases, but they look kind of cool.
They do, and I haven't seen them anywhere before.
So,
like in her West Yorkshire spinner yarn too. It's very pretty. It's purple.
Yeah. So, and she said she hadn't really used them, and she said, and I can totally relate to this. She said one of the reasons that she hadn't used them is because she was afraid she would get ladders, which she has not gotten ladders. And my big thing with showing how she stores them there is I break wooden needles all the time because they're sitting on the couch and I sit on them, and and especially when they're only 2.25 millimeters, they're so thin, and I break them all the time. But having them enclosed in that case would be perfect. That would even be good for like the little Licca ones, the 2.25, when you're not knitting with them, to enclose it so that they're, because I even wonder about that too when I take them on the plane and I just kind of shove them into my bag, because they're not like a metal needle.
I just push them down in there. I don't pay much attention. Also, Helen is saying that she has crazy trios as well, and hers are metal, not bamboo.
Okay.
So they must come in.
So they must come in.
She said it's the same packaging though.
Okay. Okay.
So Sue, okay, just an update too. Sue is saying that she has them in metal as well, and they came out before the Flexi Flips, and they could be purchased in Germany.
Okay.
So,
okay. Okay, and then the next question was from Glenda, who says that she has been knitting lots, and she knits lots of socks, mostly for her husband, but she hasn't done any sweaters. So she was wondering what would be a good first sweater and what would be a good soft wool to knit it in. First of all, for the sweater, I think you can't go wrong with some of the Tin Can Knits basic patterns. And Glenda, if you can knit socks, you can knit a sweater.
Absolutely.
There's as much intricate stuff in a pair of socks as there is in a sweater. And for sure you can do a sweater. I would say start with, maybe like a DK weight, just so that you see progress faster.
Yes.
But a lot of the Tin Can Knits patterns, there are some basic ones like the flax sweater, but I believe they've also got a new one that's got the rounded yoke.
Okay.
Some are free. The flax is free. I'm not sure about the rounded yoke one.
Okay.
It comes in all sizes from baby up to
it does.
Men's extra large.
And it looks good on everyone.
It does.
It's a really flattering
sweater. Would be a good starting point. As far as a wool, I don't know. What do you suggest? Honestly, you really couldn't go wrong with Barocco Vintage DK.
Are we talking about Glenda in Edinburgh?
Yes. No, that's not the same. It's not the same.
Oh, not the same Glenda.
No.
Okay. Okay. Because I was thinking, well, we do have to think about the location. Where is Glenda knitting? So Barocco Vintage, of course.
Yes.
That's our go-to.
I'm thinking vintage or vintage DK. It is soft. It's machine washable. It does have 40% wool in it. It comes in gorgeous colors. If you want to
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think for your first sweater, it's probably better not to go with something that's totally superwash or superwash treated, simply because of the growth factor after, because I think you could have trouble with measuring gauge and figuring out what size to do. So I think you'd be better to go with something that we know tends to hold its shape a little better. So.
Okay. And Glenda is
Kingston.
in Kingston. Okay. So yes.
She can get Barocco for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. And it also comes in vintage DK. So depending on whether you want to pick a DK weight or a worsted weight, you're covered with both of those options.
Absolutely. So, Flocking with You says that she's just knitting her second Brooklyn raglan. And she said she loved the other one from last year so much that she decided to cast on a second. So that's another option that you might want to look at. I really like the idea of a raglan sweater or the round neck for a first effort. I think either are just, really easy to manipulate on needles. And I like that whole top down concept. I know that
so you can try
we were talking about this on Saturday at the coffee shop, how most of the sweaters, even the Icelandic ones, used to be bottom up. And I always remember them being top down, but
I just all bottom up.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I've just blocked that out of my mind maybe, but
you knit the body and you knit the sleeves on 4 double points.
Yes. Now I'm thinking about that. I do remember it.
And then you joined it.
Yes. so that when you were done, you were done. And I guess some of the reasons that we were talking about at the coffee shop was that if you did realize there was an issue with the yoke, it was less to take out. But honestly, I like the top down. I mean, I've done some bottom up sweaters, but I do feel more comfortable with a top down. So,
and this is Marianne said Burmy Basic is a great sweater. And what you could do with that, you could pick the yarn that you like, do a swatch, measure it, and then you could actually go to the Burmy Basic patterns and pick out whatever your gauge is. Like, for instance, if you get 18 stitches, you could pick the Burmy 18. If you get 22, you can pick the Burmy 22. So you could do your gauge swatch first and then go to the pattern and pick the particular pattern that fits your gauge.
And the Burmy Basic is by Beth McDonald Stone. So you can look that one up too. Kim Seacrest is reminding us about the Tin Can apps, and that's right. And I did use that recently when I did those little rye socks. So that's quite clever to use too. And again, the flax is a free pattern. So
okay. And then the last question was from Cindy, who said that she's had trouble with buying a pattern on Ravelry and then the pattern disappearing from her Ravelry library. Has anybody had that happen? I have never had that happen. I would be contacting Ravelry, I think, if that was happening. Now, there is in Ravelry, you can actually go into your library and you can actually, there is a little tab that you can click on that says purchased patterns, and it should list all the patterns that you've purchased. So even if the PDF's not loaded in, you should be able to go in there and upload that PDF. But if you can't get it, and you should have confirmation probably with whoever you paid for it, whether it was PayPal or your credit card. And I would talk to Ravelry and say, you know, like, I bought this pattern, like, where is it? So that would be my only suggestion. I don't know if anybody else has had that happen to them. Like I said, I've been buying patterns off Ravelry for years and I have never had that happen. So,
let's just say that I have bought so many patterns from Ravelry that if a few have gone missing, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
So even I've even purchased patterns and then the designer no longer supports that patterns and has taken the patterns off, but my PDFs are still there. I can still in your library. I can still access my PDF from. So it should not happen. So
Sharon is asking where we bought our Flexi Flips. I cannot remember the name of the vendor. I bought it when I was at Kitchener, and it was a vendor who was at Kawartha and didn't have the size I wanted. And then she was at Kitchener. Was it Kitchener? Yes, at Kitchener. And she did have the size I needed, which is the 2.25. And thank you, Sarah. Yes. So I couldn't remember the name of the vendor. Here's what Sarah has to say. This is where they are available in Canada. Sharon lives in Vancouver Island. So Espace Tricot, the Knitting Loft, Wool Time, the Needle Emporium, and they all ship. So that's good.
And I purchased some from Wool Time in Ottawa, and I also purchased some from Fabulous Yarns in a little town near Saugerties in New York. And it's called Fabulous Yarns, and I know that they ship as well. And I would just check out, like, especially in BC, you've got some good yarn shops there. I would just go on their sites or even give them a call and see. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them probably sell them as well. So.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any questions?
Yes, I did. Just a moment. Okay. So I had a question that was emailed to me, and it was asking about our Makealong, specifically the Advent Along. And she was wondering where to post her finished object. So we are not opening that finished object thread until December the 1st. So just you can comment on it in the chatter thread, and we've had the chatter thread open all year, but we will open the finished object thread on December the 1st. And that's where you'll be able to post your finishes. And we will draw for December 31st, winner of all the finished objects. So this year, for the first 3 quarters, we've been drawing from the chatter thread, but in December on the 31st, we will draw from the finished object thread. So if you have been in there chatting and you get finished, don't forget to go back in and move an item or take a picture of your item and post it in the finished object. And that will open again on December the 1st.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and Margot said that the only time that she thought her purchase pattern wasn't in her Ravelry library was because she had not downloaded the pattern when she completed the purchase.
Okay.
So in which case it still should be if you go to library and look at
it automatically went into your library. Yeah.
it should still be there. So I usually always open it right away. So anyway, but again, if you can't find it, I would contact Ravelry. So
yes. Yeah. And their support desk is very good. And I have no doubt that they'll be able to resolve that issue for you.
Okay. So before we go any further, before we talk about going into our stuff, I just want to say that at the shower on the weekend, all I had finished for this baby so far is 2 little pairs of socks. But my daughter-in-law, Rachel, I'm going to show you what she did. So Rachel.
Oh, I saw it. It's so cute.
Hasn't been knitting for a super long time, but she made this. My son did play a lot of video games. His life has changed, and he really liked The Legend of Zelda. So Rachel did this baby blanket with the Zelda Triforce symbol all through it. And then she put it together, and she found a little teether that's in the shape of a game controller. So yes. She got that for the baby, and she designed the pattern basically herself. Yep. So she took this pattern here, which is, it is called, and it was a free pattern. It's the Tri-Course Washcloth by April Klisch. And she just basically took that motif. She inverted it so that you see more of the triangles on the outside as texture. And then she put it onto a block pattern and separated it by lines of purl stitches all into the block so that it was all nice and squared. And she did an amazing job. I'm telling you, I got to get knitting now because, but anyway, she did an amazing job. The yarn that she used was Barocco Vintage DK in the spruce colorway.
Yes.
And it does. It looks amazing. And it's that, like, the Barocco is such a nice yarn to use for that because my son and daughter-in-law will be able to throw that in the washer and dryer. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it turned out cute. So well done, Rachel.
Yes.
So
yes, very good.
Okay. So should we go on to what we're wearing?
Yes, let's do that. You start, because I realized I didn't make a banner for mine. So I will pull your banners up, and while you're talking, I'll go make my own.
That's okay. I always think I can find it. There it is. This is the Somerset Sweater by Beth McDonald Stone. So I did mine in Holst Garn Super Soft, and the colors that I used are the main color. This color up here is Cloudberry. I do have a picture so you can see it a little closer there. So the main color at the top is Cloudberry. Then the colors that I used in the yoke, the flowers are Thistledown, which is the purple color. There's a green color in it called Calypso. And then the background of the flowers is Ecru. And then some of the little design in the ferrule part is Sugar Snap. So it is Holst Garn Super Soft held single. And so the sweater basically weighs almost next to nothing. I did the size 2 in the pattern. And I think that's a 37-inch finish. So I've just got like a little bit of room up here. But then, of course, if it's 37 here, you've got more room around the waist area. And I think that was knit on it was either 3.25 or 3.5 needles. But the fabric of the Super Soft fills in so nicely once you block that sweater. Like it just changes the way it looks completely, because when you're knitting with it, it does have spinning oil in it. So it feels maybe a little bit ropey and you can kind of see through some of the fabric. But then once that you block that sweater, it all just
fills in really well. Blooms beautifully. Yes.
Blooms beautifully. So this is, I test knit this pattern for Beth. This is the one where she does short rows, but in the
ribbing,
in the rib of the sweater. So it makes the neck sit really nice. And I love the way it fits. I take this sweater almost everywhere because it's so easy to pack up. It looks good with jeans. I've got a skirt that it looks good with. And it's just so nice and light, yet for a day that's, getting a little bit cooler, it is still a wool sweater. So you still get a little bit of warmth from it. And I always say I would knit it again, but realistically, I'm probably not going to knit it again because there's too many other things.
Yes, absolutely.
So we say that about everything, but then there's many other things to knit out there but definitely well-written pattern, and I loved knitting it. So
it's a really pretty shade too.
It's a really pretty yoke. It's just like the yoke is just.
But that color, I love that color. Like it's crocus, right? The color?
No,
No.
it's thistledown. Oh, the which one?
The color, the main color is
Cloudberry.
cloudberry, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really a blue, but it's not a purple either. It's almost like that.
I think it's a blue, and then other people say it's a purple, so I guess it's a purpley blue.
Yeah, it is. It's a really unique color. I really, really like it. So.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And I am wearing, I did a banner. Here we go. So this is, oh, I didn't capitalize her name. Sorry about that. I'm wearing the Tulsa Tee by Rebecca Clow, and I knit this t-shirt this summer. The eyelets are not in the pattern, but there have been a few people that have done it with an eyelet. So there are details on my Ravelry page, I think, I hope. If not, I have to get in and update it, because I also realized that I haven't even taken pictures of this t-shirt. So shame on me. This was pretty much the only picture that I had, which is when it was a work in progress. So I made this using the drop spell, and so it's cotton. And what I love about this yarn is that I throw it in the washer and the dryer. And I really like the eyelets. I think that it's not so much of an eyelet that you need to wear something underneath it. Like, it's just next to skin. I've just got on like a skin colored bra with it. I don't feel like it's exposed. So I really like the eyelets, and that just makes it a little more airy for summer. Yeah. This is a really, it's just like an easy t-shirt, sweatshirty kind of t-shirt to throw on. And I do wear it quite a bit. And I like the color. Now the color is not available any longer either. Somebody pointed that out. But I also think that with Drop Spell, I think they bring some colors back, because they don't have a wide range of colors, but there have been colors that like I've seen other people make that I know I don't have. Right. So I do think they kind of play around, and I don't think this is a tricky color for them to duplicate. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back again. Yeah. So, but it's a great pattern, and you get a great pattern. So many variations with the pattern. I'm just trying to remember, are both weights in the same pattern, or was that two different patterns?
No, yes. Both are in the same pattern.
Both weights. And then several ideas for you to make the pattern your own, as well as short sleeves or long sleeves. Yeah. And so it's just it's a very, I move my hair out of the way, you can see, it's just like a very basic raglan, but I really like the way it came out with the eyelets. And I know you've done one with the stripes.
I've done with stripes just up here. It looks nice just as a plain t-shirt. So, but there's lots of variations. And Gail, the Drop Spell is a DK weight. So now I don't know if you knit it. I know the DK weight pattern. I know the DK weight also called for 17 stitches. Did you knit it at 17, or did you knit it? Because I know when I did mine, even though DK, and I did use a DK yarn, I still did a 20 stitch gauge and just did a different.
I'm just going to look here. So I'm looking on my Ravelry page, and I actually did make some pretty decent notes. So I just haven't updated it with any photos yet. So I used 3 different needles to make this. I haven't measured the gauge. I guess I could update that part on my Ravelry page, but I used a 4, a 4.5, and a 5. So I'm guessing the 4.5 might have been, oh, here we go. Sorry, I've got all those notes at the bottom. So after the short rows were completed, oh, that's right. Now it's coming back to me. So I used the 5mm needle, but then I dropped down to the 4.5 to knit the eyelet row, just to keep the eyelets a little tighter. And then I went back to the 5. So that was a little tricky to remember, just to keep switching down. But I had read that comment from somebody else that was helpful to them. So I thought that's probably a good tip. So I did go down a needle size just to do the eyelets. But again, this is washer and dryer friendly, and that's my kind of a summer sweater. So yeah,
because it does seem like your summer sweaters tend to need to be washed more because you're sweating more, and so okay. So that's what we're wearing. So, and yeah, I really do like the Tulsa Tee pattern, and it's actually another one that would actually be a good first sweater. Because you could do it all plain. It would. Yes. Yep. So, and it's got the option of the short sleeves. Like,
honestly, so many different ways.
Yeah.
And even Rebecca herself, like she is like Rebecca Clow is Creabea. And
Yes.
so she has a podcast. And when she was doing her Tolsta tea, like when she was releasing the pattern, she did a few episodes that were kind of Tolsta related. And she has done like a host of sweaters herself in different yarns and different stylings of them. And I think there was even, I'm pretty sure there was one podcast that she did that she showed all of her Tolstas, and you could really see the variation and how adaptable the pattern was. Like the sky's kind of the limit. It is really a good basic raglan tee or long sleeve sweater, depending on what you want to do. And it's just a blank canvas. So, have at it.
Yep. Okay. So, do you have any finishes?
I do not.
You don't?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay. I have 3.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Let's do those. And then we have
Okay.
some prizes tonight too. So we have some to announce and we have some to give away. So we'll do
Yes.
the finishes. We'll do Noelle's finishes.
Okay.
And then we'll do some prizes. And then
Okay.
we'll move into what we're working on.
Okay. So my first finish is The Long Dark of Moria by Claire
Yay!
Ellen. So I got them finished. And
You did.
This is like 2 days ahead of schedule because they had to be finished by October, but they are done.
Yes. And they look awesome.
So you can see that the texture, if you look up close, so it's kind of got like ribbing going down the sides, and then it's got a just a texture that goes, another seam going down the back. And I did in this one, I did take the pattern right down into the heel of the sock. So it's pretty much done as the pattern is written. And these are 74 stitch socks, and they are done with Lang Yowl Superwash acrylic blend, which is 75% wool, 18% nylon, and 7% acrylic. And it's just a color number, but it's kind of a dark gray color that kind of shows up the texture nicely.
If you were to rate sock yarn, where would that particular yarn fit in with your ratings?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's not my favorite.
I have a reason for asking, but go ahead, explain.
Okay, it's just, well, but part of that reason could be that these, because of all the texture and all the stitches in it, I've been doing these on 2.5 needles. I think I would like this much better on a 2.25 millimeter needle.
Okay.
And then my opinion of it probably would be different. Right now, it feels a little loose to me. I mean, I think it's fine, and it's a guy's sock and they need the room in it, but I would, because it is a thin sock yarn, like it is over 200 meters and a 50-gram ball. So I would definitely prefer it on a 2.25 millimeter needle. Now, this particular blend too, with the 75% wool, 18 nylon, and 7 acrylic, is discontinued. Their new one, I believe, is 75 wool, 25 nylon. So I don't know if that makes a difference to the overall feel of the sock or not. So, but I just wanted like a good neutral color that would show off the pattern.
The reason I was asking is because I think there's an episode, Summer Lee has an episode on her podcast where she, I think she rated her top 5 favorite sock yarns, and the Lang Yowl was in there in her top 5. So that's why I was asking you.
Yeah, but okay, for one thing, it's the discontinued version of it, and second, I think I would prefer it much better on a 2.25 millimeter needle.
Okay.
So I would reserve my judgment till I use the new one, which I do have on 2.25 millimeter needle.
So do I just haven't knit with it yet. Okay.
Yeah, so
fair enough.
Okay, so my next finish.
Oh, wait a second. Victoria is asking, so far, what has been your favorite Lord of the Ring pattern?
I think it was either the Pippin or the Mary that had like the helix cables in it. Has been my favorite so far. So
she said that she thinks her favorite so far has been the Aragorn sock, which was your first pair.
That was the first one.
First one.
They might have been my favorite if I had enjoyed knitting them, but I didn't. But those are the ones Roz wanted, so I did them. And part of that was, I think, was the yarn. I really wasn't a big fan of the Rowan sock yarn.
What was the one that had the like the dragon?
That was Smog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those ones were really sharp too.
Those ones were too. Well, the first ones, I think the yarn was hard to work with. I made mistakes that I had to rip back, and it seemed like they took forever. So, but anyway, and again, the Rowan sock yarn wasn't my favorite. It's like a single ply, but it does have nylon in it. And I just found it was a little bit splitty.
It's a little splitty. Okay.
It's a little splitty. Okay. But I'm going to try it again because I'm not going to make a judgment just based on one pair of socks, especially a sock with that much pattern in it. So
fair enough.
Okay. So my next finish is the Striped Central Socks by Caroline Liesel. And that is these ones here.
Very nice.
So these are for Ross. So these are a 72 stitch sock. These are done in Drops Nord, and the colors are caramel and lemongrass mix. So it's kind of based on a Fibonacci sequence where your stripes vary in size. So it fades out of the one color and into the other color. So these socks, these I did on the 2.5 flexi flips because they were the only size I could get.
Okay.
Again, I would like this yarn better on a 2.25. Although
it looks pretty dense though. Like it looks good.
It is. But because I'll take one off, because it's alpaca.
Okay.
Like even though it looks dense, the yarn's really got a drape in it. Like it feels, right? But it feels really nice. And the feel of the sock is really nice. Like I will definitely be doing more socks in the Drops Alpaca. So the Drops Alpaca, not the Drops Nord, sorry, not alpaca. The Drops Nord is a blend of, and I wrote it down because I'd never remember, 45% alpaca, 25% wool, and 30% nylon.
Okay, so tell Ross he needs to be careful with those because he'll be able to felt those very easy if he machine washes them with the alpaca, right?
Yeah,
I have felt it, and don't ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
Well, I have not felted alpaca before, but I'll hand wash them. So anyway, these took exactly 100 grams. However, it was 52 grams of the caramel and 48 grams of the green. So I did have to go into the second skein of the caramel. But again, this is a pretty big sock. So if you were doing this for like just, like a woman's sock, you wouldn't need to go into the second skein. And if I had have known that, I could have like done a couple of rows less up here in the
I was going to say, did you
something?
Can you hold them back up? Did you do both of them exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay, because if you had flipped it the other way,
and you could have done that, the pattern might have even suggested that you could have done that. If I had have done that, I probably would have been okay. But I didn't want that. I wanted them both the same.
Okay.
And Ross wanted them both the same. So yeah, but I really like the Drops Nord. So I would really like to knit a pair of socks.
I have that yarn. I should get that out and use it. I have
it's very nice. And the Drops Nord, I did get that at Wool Time in Ottawa, but it is also available through Wool Warehouse. And oftentimes when they have a sale, it is a pretty good price.
Pretty good price, yes.
Okay, and
Haley, you're not late. Pull up a chair. Join in.
Never late. Never late.
Pull up a chair.
Okay, and my last finished object is my Lorien by Eleanor Mortensen.
Oh, this looks so beautiful. This is perfect weather for it too. This is beautiful.
So here is my Lorien.
Gorgeous.
And
did you upload some pictures? I'll go grab them. You talk.
Okay. So this is done in Ginger Twists, hand-dyed Masham Mayhem 4-ply. And it's got a beautiful detail down at the bottom. And the rib is like, there is texture in the rib. I don't know if that's called shell stitch, but it's a really pretty texture in the rib, both of the neckband, the arm bands, and the bottom band. So I followed the pattern exactly, except for the bottom of the sleeves, because I have really tiny wrists. So the pattern repeat at the bottom of the sleeves is 8 stitch repeat. I did the size small, but I kept decreasing to even 8 stitches left on each sleeve before I did the color work at the bottom, because it would have been loose on my hands, and I really like how that finished fit of the sleeves is. So this is the colors in this yarn are, the top color is Muddy Sunshine, and the main color is called Lallybrock. So I got this at the Perfect Blend Tea Shop in Saugerties, and Woolen Tea Shop, sorry, Yarn and Tea Shop, the Perfect Blend Yarn and Tea Shop,
yes,
in Saugerties. And Ginger Twist Studios was having a little trunk show like during the Rhinebeck week. And this is this particular blend of yarn, which is a 75% BFL, 25% Massam. It comes in both a 4-ply weight and a DK weight.
Yes.
And yeah, I just love it. So again, Muddy Sunshine and Lallybrock. And I think you bought the Lallybrock in the DK.
I did, not even realizing that that was the same color you had, because, you know, that's what we do.
Okay. And I can't stress how much I liked knitting this pattern. The yoke was just so easy. Well, I did do ladder back jacquard in a couple of spots, like especially down here around the bottom of the leaves, just where the floats were long. I did ladder back jacquard. I did in the body of the sweater and in the sleeves, I did helical knit. So because it is hand dyed yarn, and I just didn't want that demarcation line between one skein and the next. What I used for this, the Muddy Sunshine, I used 82 grams, I believe.
Okay.
And for the Lallybrock, I used 156 grams. So the whole sweater only weighs 200, a little over 230 grams, or around 230 grams. Of course, I wrote all this down, but I can't find it once I write it down. But anyway, so it is like really lightweight. Now, having said that, they're supposed to be 100-gram skeins. I did not weigh the skeins beforehand. So oftentimes you can get a heavy skein. So I haven't weighed the whole sweater. Maybe I'll do that. But again, I did the size 1. My gauge is spot on, exact, but I did use 4 different needle sizes in order to do this. So I started off, I did the neckband in 3.25. I went up to a 3.75 for the color work.
Colors.
I went down to a 3.5 for the body of the sweater. I went back down to the 3.25 for down here. And on the sleeves, I went down to a 3 millimeter because I wanted that. There's tighter. Not really a substantial amount of rib, and I wanted it tighter. So I went down to a 3 millimeter needle. So,
and what cast on did you use?
I just did a regular German twisted cast on.
What?
Because the only place you're casting on is at the neck. Well, because it's if you can see the pattern on the. So, and that's got the same, and on the bottom of the sleeves. So you do your pattern, and then you just bind off knitwise. So you just kind of get that finished edge that kind of matches the top of the sweater. So,
well, you don't have there's no stretch or anything down there. So that's a good bind off. Yeah.
Oh, so, great. And I don't know if you can see on the inside, if I show you, like, see even up these spots, if you can see the spots at the top, those little ones, those little points in the middle of those sections, that's where I did the ladder back jacquard. Because I didn't want to have to catch the float, because then there's more of a chance that color will show through. And with these colors being so definitely contrast, then there is more of a chance that something will show through. If you've got something with like a lower contrast, it's not so critical. But when something's this high contrast and you catch that float, it's hard to have it hide.
Have you blocked it?
Yes.
And were you concerned about the color? Okay. Yes. So what did you do?
So when I blocked it, I put 2 color catchers in the water. Okay. I only left it in because, I mean, the first time, obviously, I'm just wetting it so that I can like lay it out and block it. So I only left it in for a couple of minutes. The water was starting to turn, but not as much as I thought it would.
Okay.
Like it was actually starting to turn quite dark. So if I was going to wash it, like fully wash it, I just wanted it soaked. I would have then dumped that water, put more water in, and kept doing it that way to wash it. But yeah, it's fully blocked, and like, I mean, and I rolled it up on a towel and stepped all over it, and no problem with any of the color bleeding in it.
Good. Yeah, it looks beautiful. So, it is it is the ultimate fall sweater. It really is.
You know what? That's
I think they look like Canadian maple leaves. I don't know. Every time since you've been knitting that all along, I think that would be like such a Canadian themed sweater, because to me they look like maple leaves. So,
and yes, Kelly, I am talking about ladder back jacquard. So, and again, the tutorial that I use for that I mean, I've done it enough now that I don't have to refer back, but it was by Suzanne Bryan. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Okay. And I looked at her patterns. Her patterns. So this is Eleanor Mortensen. Her patterns are amazing. She's got like, well, I did the Renaissance one.
Yes.
She's got one that has like tulips up here. She's got another one that just came out called Mabon, which is very similar to this one, where your yoke kind of changes color, but it just starts off with a rolled neckline. So yeah, so there'll definitely be more of her patterns in my future.
Nice, very nice. Kim says she thinks they look like Utah maple leaves, so not Canadian maple leaves, but Utah.
It's an international pattern.
International sweater. Definitely looks autumnal.
And I think she's from somewhere over in Europe, so there you go.
That's right. Yes, I think so. I believe she is. So, okay. Moving on. Oh, okay. Julia is chiming in here that since we are in Canada and we still recognized daylight savings time, our time is changing this weekend. So we are falling back. So we are gaining an hour for us.
Another hour of knitting time.
Another knitting.
That means I'll be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Great.
Instead of 4.
Just great. So yeah, so that will be this weekend. So that may impact some of the viewers, I guess, if they don't recognize daylight savings time, if you're in a zone that doesn't. So the time will change for you. So but if just remember that we are always in the Eastern time zone. So
but if you're signed up and you get notifications, the notifications should alert you to the correct time.
So this would be a great time to remind people that if you haven't subscribed yet, we would love it if you did. And there is a little bell notification. And if you click on the bell, it will give you a notification a half an hour before the show, which gives you a chance to get your ducks in a row. You know, gather your knitting, gather your little beverage, get your bowl of snacks, settle in, get cozy, get ready to knit chat. So yeah. And since we're talking about that too, okay, let's just do one last
just one more minute. Nancy said, is ladder back jacquard a way to catch floats? Yes, Nancy, it is. And I will link that tutorial in the show notes. But the show notes will not be up until later tomorrow, but I will link that tutorial in there. So.
Okay. And what I was going to say as well about the channel, if you are looking to follow us and see some of the things that we do throughout the week and some of the finishes that we post on Instagram, these are our names on Instagram just below us here on the screen now. So I'm the Tangled Stitch and Noelle is Noelle's Knits and Pieces. And Instagram is probably where I'm most socially active too. So if you want to follow along, that's a great place to do it. Okay, back to the show.
Okay. So, since it's Halloween, we should do the prize winners from last week first.
Yes, let's do that. Okay. Do you have some of the cards there?
I don't. Do you have some there?
I think so.
Okay. So last week,
what is in this bag?
Last week we had a little prompt for under the video that if you commented on, if you went to Rhinebeck, what you would be most interested in, like what aspect of Rhinebeck would you be most interested in? Like I personally think the whole experience is wonderful because it's the people, it's the sweaters, it's the atmosphere, it's the yarn, it's the food. It's just, I don't know.
It's the full experience. It really is. Yeah. It's hard to explain if you haven't been there too. Like, I don't know. It's all the things. It's all the things. So
and I mean, this one in particular, the weather just cooperated beautifully. It was cool enough to wear your sweaters, but it was sunny and it was gorgeous.
Yes. So we had Noelle's daughter, Jacqueline, quite an artist, has helped us out again to come up with these. Noelle has come up with some clever little sayings to put on little blank note cards. So there's the note cards. And then Jacqueline did the artwork for us. And these are this year's offerings. So in regards to patterns that you may all know, this is You've Been Framed, which references Andrea Mowry's frame sweater. And then thought you could use a little emotional support chicken, which is, of course, the emotional support chicken everybody's making. This is as close as Noelle and I are going to get to the emotional support chicken.
Hey,
well, no, that's not true. You did make one. You made a teeny tiny emotional.
There's mine.
That's just to support you for itty
I
bitty
have
things.
2. There we go. There's mine.
There you are. Okay. And then that's just ranunculus, referencing Midori Hiros's pattern, and Love When All Vertices Unite, which is, of course, referencing the Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West.
Yeah.
So we had some of these with us when we traveled to Rhinebeck, when we ran into some people that we knew.
And half the time I forgot.
We forgot. So
it's like you get chatting and then I forget.
I know. Or yeah. So we did take some with us to Rhinebeck, though, to give away. And there's envelopes in here as well. So they all come together in a nice, neat little packet. And Noelle, do you want to? So yeah, we had asked to leave a comment under last week's video. And Noelle did the draw. And?
Okay. So our first winner is NL Turcott 5168. And she said she would love to see what everyone is wearing at Rhinebeck. I think the shopping would be overwhelming without a plan. So fun to hear about your visit. And the shopping can get a little overwhelming, like especially I'm not necessarily one that makes a plan. I guess I did sort of. The only plan I had was that I knew that I wanted to get a sweater quantity of the Stone Soup Fingering by Bare Naked Wools. And that was the only thing I had in mind. And I actually probably have more purchases outside of Rhinebeck than actual Rhinebeck itself, because I do find it gets a little overwhelming. There's a lot of people in the booth and it's hard to make an on-the-spot decision. So, but anyway, so that was our first winner. And the second winner is a kid 001. And she said, just the atmosphere of Rhinebeck is magical. And I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
it is.
So,
yes.
So congratulations to both of our winners. So if you get in touch with us, and you can do it through our email address, which is knitsandpiecespodcast@gmail.com. We need your full name and we need your mailing address, and we will get those out in the mail to you. So congratulations to the winners, and thanks everybody for going in and popping a little note under the video. And yes, I think, as I think I said last week, if you get a chance, try and get to Rhinebeck. It's a great experience. And I mean, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm introverted, or this is actually probably a better one for people that are introverted, because you don't have to be in one of the big buildings with all the people.
That's right.
There's plenty of outside space. If you just want to go and sit somewhere by yourself and just knit, you can. If you want to talk to people, you can. People will probably come up and
talk
start
to you.
A conversation with you.
And this is a comment from Julia. This was Julia's first Rhinebeck. She came this year. We traveled there together and met up with Noelle. She said, it is so full of positive energy. Everyone is chatting to each other and enjoying everyone's company. And I wholeheartedly agree. I am incredibly introverted. And even I get some sort of superpower when I'm at Rhinebeck, and I'm not afraid to talk to anybody there. And I can be very intimidated to talk to people. So I just think it's wonderful. It's an entire fairground full of people wearing beautiful things, beautiful people wearing beautiful things, and everybody wants to talk about it. Yeah. And it's just, it's such an uplifting, encouraging environment to be in, and highly recommend it.
Okay. So that was last week's giveaways. Now this week it's Halloween.
This week it's Halloween. So we thought we would do some sort of Halloween-y themed things. So I'm just trying to think, what is the best way to go about this? So we have 2 yarn prizes. One we're going to do tonight. One will be after the show. So we will show you both of those. And then we also are going to be giving away 2 patterns. So let's talk about the patterns first. Okay. I will pull this up because I screenshotted it. These are, and I don't think I made a banner. Okay, let me make a banner super quick. Okay, these are the Halloween gang socks by our friend Natalie Sheldon. Do you want to talk about them, Noelle, and I'll make that banner?
Okay, so if any of you have watched The Great Pumpkin by Charlie Brown, all of the little motifs in this sweater are references to the clothing that the characters are wearing. I don't know that I can go through and pick out all of them and tell you who's who, but I know that the yellow with the brown stripe going through it is Charlie Brown. So, but the other characters are in there. There's Lucy, Linus, Schneider, Peppermint Patty, Pigpen.
I'm guessing Pigpen is that kind of spotty looking one underneath the green band.
I think so. Oh, maybe, yeah. And what was Lucy's? I can't remember.
I think Lucy might be that top one.
Looked at a list of it. Yeah. Anyway,
Linus, I think, is the blue because he has the music. So she has them all explained.
Schroeder has the music, but yeah, she has them all explained. Yes. I mean, I haven't watched The Great Pumpkin for a couple of years.
Many, many years for me.
So yeah, so it's a great pattern, and I mean, you can do it in those colors which reference the actual cartoon, but you could do this. You could pick any colors, and this pattern would look amazing. You know, and it's one of those color work ones, kind of similar to what Kelly's doing for her Advent, where you can just say, okay, I want to get these done, but I'm just going to, like, you know, every week or whatever, I'm just going to do one, you know, one section of one color. And that's a great way to work through a color work pattern too. So you don't kind of get, intimidated. So there's the line up there.
Yes.
Okay. Sally, Charlie, Linus, Lucy, Patty. Oh yeah. Peppermint Patty, Franklin, Pigpen, Schroeder, Flying Ace. Oh, Snoopy. How could I forget Snoopy?
Right.
The Red Baron.
The Nameless Girl in order. Yes. So she has put together these patterns, and we are going to gift 2 lucky viewers one of those. So we'll need your email so that we can purchase the pattern from Natalie and then send it on through to you. So, okay, that's the first 2. I'm going to show you the next prize, and then we will pull up the screen and tell you how you can win these lovely things. So just a moment here. Let me get rid of that one and go back to here. So then we have, this is pulling out of my own stash, but it's something that quite a few people tell us that they don't have access to this yarn. So I thought this might be fun. And these are definitely some very Halloween colors. This is the Knit Picks Felici yarn, and it's very Halloweeny colors, although it is called Jamboree, but it's got the purples and the oranges in there. And so we're going to have that. I love to make socks out of this yarn. So this is, even though it's called Felici, it's almost exactly the same as the Stroll Basics by Knit Picks. And I am going to show you an update tonight too on what I'm working on, which would be my Advent socks that I am making in Stroll. And I have tote boxes of this Stroll yarn that I love to use for socks. And this is really, really beautiful. So this is self-striping yarn, and it just makes a gorgeous pattern. So that's going to be for the prize tonight. And then Noelle's going to show you the one that we will do for later in the week after the show. Well, actually, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be, we will pull a prize for this next week, just before we start the show. So this is a set of sock yarn that was generously donated to the podcast by Karen at the Itty Bitty Yarn Co. in Mitchell, Ontario. I stopped in there on my way home for my summer vacation and had a lovely chat with Karen and a lovely little browse around the store. And she kindly gifted us this set, which is actually a color that is dyed by Polka Dot Creek specifically for the Itty Bitty Yarn Co. But this kind of has Halloween vibes with the purple and the lime green. So the colors in this set are eggplant and limeade, and then you've got the speckle one in the middle. And
I love those speckles.
Both the colors in
so
it.
Good.
And there's also a little stitch marker on it of the Itty Bitty Yarn Co. You can see that. And then she also gave us this bag. So it's a nice canvas bag with their logo on it. So this set here, we'll give out next week. So we'll actually, maybe we'll have the prompts be, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Okay.
So we will ask you to tell us that, but that will be after the videos posted to YouTube. You can go in under and leave a comment there. So that's not for here, because those comments we won't see underneath the video. So afterwards you can go in and you can pop that in. And anybody that's watching after the fact that can't join us tonight, go in, let us know what your favorite Halloween candy is, and you'll be in the running to win this sock set. And thank you very much to Karen of the Itty Bitty Yarn Co. And if you're in Mitchell, go in and see her. It's a beautiful little yarn shop. Most of the yarn that she carries is all from Canadian dyers, and she's got a lovely assortment in there. So,
for tonight's prizes, though, for the Felicia yarn and for the patterns from Natalie, just let me make sure that I have. Yes. Okay. If you type in, we've done this before. You know this, how to play this game.
The drill.
You know the drill. Type in, if you're interested to win the Felicia yarn or either of the 2 Halloween patterns, type in #Halloween. We're going to let that roll for a couple of minutes, and then we will do all of these draws. Okay. Speaking of Mitchell and the yarn shop, one of the people that one of the volunteers at the fair, she came in last week and she was chatting with me, and she said that she and her husband had gone on a little drive, and she has recently fallen back in love. This is Mary Lynn. So if Mary Lynn's watching, and she might be tonight, it's going to shout out to Mary Lynn. But anyway, she was telling me that she has fallen back in love with the art of knitting, and she has been very inspired to be making sweaters. And that's not something that she did a lot of before. So she and her husband were going on a bit of a drive, and she said, okay, sure, I'll go, but I'm going to bring my knitting. And if we're going in this direction, I want to stop into this little yarn store in Mitchell. And so she went in and she said, oh, the store was lovely. And she had a nice talk with the owner. And she was even mentioning about how she watches us on a podcast, and, you know, she knows me from the fair. And then Karen was telling her the story about how when you popped into the store and she had our had our podcast on her TV. So yeah, so she remembered that story too. But anyway, it is a lovely store. So if you have a chance to get anywhere near that, you'll definitely want to stop in and see. So
okay. So what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably chocolate. I like those little bars. Anything that has like a little bit, or like a peanut butter cup. Peanut butter cup's probably my favorite thing. And I like rockets. I know they get a bad rap, but I do like rockets, and so does my husband. So what's yours?
I like Kraft caramels.
Oh, you go for the sticky things. You remember, you know, the Halloween kisses used to be so much better. Like I remember being a kid and you got those McCormick's Halloween kisses, and I don't even know that they make those anymore. And if they do, I'm sure they're not as good. Frankie likes rockets too. My husband loves rockets. Yeah, I like the little chocolate bars though, or those little mini Kit Kats. Like that's just about the perfect amount of chocolate for me.
No, I like milk. I like Milk Duds, but they don't have them very often, and I've broken my teeth on them before.
I was going to say, you want to lose teeth to your candy, don't you?
It's probably not good to have those, but I know now we buy ones that we know that we don't like, so that we don't eat them before Halloween.
Oh, Dolores says candy corn. I completely forgot about candy corn.
I hate candy corn.
Oh, I love candy corn too.
Oh, yuck.
Okay, so we have some people asking what rockets are. All right, I'll have to bring them on next week and show you. For those of you.
I'm trying to think if there's another name for them. They look like pills almost. They're like
they do. They look like a pill, and they're in a roll. But I will bring. I will try to salvage a roll from the Halloween basket this year. Hold them back. Yeah. So Julia's saying they're sort of like a sweet tart. So I don't know where the people were asking where they're from, but. Somebody else said caramel apples. No, not down for anything wrapped on an apple. It's too hard on the teeth.
I like my caramels melted and then dip my apple in it. But I think it was Linda was saying coffee crisp. Yes, coffee crisp all the way. And crunchy bars. I like crunchy bars.
Yeah.
But
Reese's peanut butter cups, Mickey, I'm there with you. Sarah says
not Reese's peanut butter. There's a shop in Point Edward, and they get from, I don't know, one of their suppliers, and they get these homemade peanut butter cups. They are amazing, but they taste so good. They put the Reese's one to shame. I'm sorry. They're just so smooth. They melt in your mouth, and you'll have to try them, Kelly.
Well, at the fair, so we have this vendor, the ice creamery, that comes, and they make all of these chocolate confections, and they make a pretty healthy size dark chocolate peanut butter cup. And so like, I think you can get 3 of them for $12. Like they're a good size. So I bought 3, brought them home, stuck them away in my freezer. I just divvy them up like a third at a time, because it's a pretty big treat. So I certainly don't need that much of a treat, but I do love anything with peanut butter in it. Sarah was saying that she thinks that the Rockets are what they would call Smarties in the States. And funny story about that, because I realized that our Smarties are very different than the American Smarties. But here's the funny story. So when we went to Rhinebeck, Julia thought, well, she knows that Americans don't have our kind of Smarties, which are a chocolate candy with a candy shell, or a chocolate with a candy shell. So she had bought a box of the little Halloween size of these Smarties, and it was her big idea that she was going to carry them with her. And when she was handing out some other little things, she was going to hand out some of the Canadian Smarties. We were halfway to Woolen Affair that night and going through the twisty turns, and she's like, "Oh, I forgot the Smarties. So sorry, our American friends, you didn't get the Smarties that Julia had planned for you, but we'll think of you when we eat them." So, okay. We've got a lot of entries in there.
Yes, I think
let's get to drawing.
So you know what? Let's do the yarn first.
Okay.
And then the socks.
Okay.
Just in case people want the yarn.
Okay.
We just want people to know the order, so that we're not picking, we're telling you the order.
Okay. So this is for the Felici yarn duo.
Yep.
Is it showing up?
Yep.
Okay. I really need to come up with some music.
Lynn McLeod.
Yay.
Congratulations, Lynn. So you have won the Felici sock yarn.
And there's 100 grams here. So it's 250-gram balls so that you can get a matching pair, because you know how I feel about things that match. So that's for these two here. Okay, let's go back in and redraw. This is for the first pattern of Natalie's patterns, the Halloween gang socks.
Which I think Natalie's actually talking about making that into a sweater pattern too, which I think would look amazing.
She already did make it into, she made, Julia, yay. Julia, more socks for you to knit. Congratulations, Julia. Okay, one more pattern. We have 258 entries in here too, friends. So thanks for joining in.
Angie. Okay, so congratulations to our winners. Again, we'll pop that address up there where you can send your information to us. For the pattern, if you've got Ravelry, you can give us your Ravelry handle, and we can actually just gift that pattern right into your Ravelry library. So it's knitsandpiecespodcast@gmail.com. Again, for a physical prize that we're sending to you, we need your full name and your address. And for the patterns, if you've got Ravelry, we need your Ravelry ID. Otherwise, we'll find out a way for it to get sent directly to your email. Okay. So congratulations. And again, remember, after the video is posted, go in, tell us what your favorite, even though we've heard a lot of the favorites on here, tell us what your favorite Halloween candy is, and you will be in the running to win this beautiful set from the Itty Bitty Yarn Co. by Polka Dot Creek. You probably got enough yarn there to make 2 pairs of socks.
Probably, for sure. So. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for participating. It's always fun doing that spinning wheel thing.
It is. You know, there's no wheel and nothing is spinning. I don't even know why we call it that.
Well, it looks like a spinning wheel thing.
But we always call it that anyway. So, okay. Well. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about what we've got on needles this week.
I only have one other thing that I worked on other than because I finished the sweater and the 2 pairs of socks. Okay. And I didn't want to start. I'll show you my next pair of socks that I'm going to start, but I don't want to start them until November 1st.
Okay. I have 3 things on needles. Okay, so I'll go first. So since we're talking about Natalie and Natalie's patterns, I also realized though that I did not bring a sock blocker over here with me. Apologies for that. So they aren't going to look as pretty as they could, but I am making for our Advent along. I am doing a few stripes a month, or heels, toes, whatever the deal is, to make Natalie's cozy quilt socks. And this is my first one done. So then I cast on my second one, and here is where I'm at. So for the end of October, I am down to here. I'm all caught up. So that leaves me 2 stripes and a toe left to complete before the end of the year. But in all honesty, I plan to make them in November because I want to wear them for the month of
Yep.
December.
Yep.
And although I am calling them Advent socks, there's really nothing holiday about them, but I do think that they're very beautiful. I should be saving them and not wearing them, and I could put them into the fair next weekend or next year, because our theme is something like homemade, homegrown country roots or something. And I mean, nothing says country fair like a pair of quilt themed socks, I think. But the only deviation I made from Natalie's pattern, I think, is the heel. I'm actually doing the shadow wrap heel, and I think she references a short row heel in her pattern. But that's just my own choice. It's just the fit that I like. Other than that, I followed the pattern exactly. And we were talking about the Stroll sock yarn, and I am using everything in here is Stroll except for this white, which is Lion brand Sockies, which is no longer available anymore in the colorway Marshmallow. But everything else is Stroll. This yarn is like incredibly soft. There's a few cat hairs in here now. It's very, very soft. This is an unblocked sock, so it just shows you like how nice the color work is, even unblocked. It's already pretty good. And yeah, I'm really happy with them. Her patterns are so fun. They're whimsical. They just kind of make you feel good working on them. Like, and maybe it's because we know Natalie and we love Natalie, and she's got the best heart. But when I'm working on her socks, I love working on her socks.
Well, I know, but I think it's partly because a lot of them are broken down into, like, a lot of the holiday themes ones are broken down into those sections, which I think makes doing something in color work a lot less daunting. And it's like you work through and you just want to get to the end of that first section because you want to see what it looks like. So
there's a question.
It keeps you engaged.
It does. I mean, every row is a little bit different. And then of course, as soon as I finish one row, when I have been working on these throughout the year, like I might say, okay, this month I'm doing 2 stripes or something, right? And I never want to stop there. I just think, oh no, I could plow on. I could keep going. But I don't know. No, I'm having so much fun doing them. So somebody has asked a question about the needle sizes I was using. I actually think Natalie's pattern suggests a 2.75, but I know how I knit color work, and I'm completely fine. I use a 2.5 for the color work, and then I go down to a 2.25, which is my normal sock needle. That is what I used for the cuff and the heel and the toe, but also, and you can see a slight difference here. So I knit a 2.5 because I have that high instep that I talk about a lot. But then my foot is not very wide at all. So I'm doing the 70 stitch sock. And then once I got past this brown row, the rest of it, I dropped down to a 2.25.
Yeah.
And it fits my foot. This sock fits really, really wonderful. But again, that's just me using a 2.5 because I know how I do color work and I know what my level of stretch is. So I would encourage you to follow follow Natalie's instructions. I think she does recommend a 2.75. Also the Stroll for a fingering, I would say it's a little bit on the light side as well. So I think that's another reason the 2.5 is, it's just very, very soft. So okay.
And I think it's a good point about, like, even when you're making just regular socks, like if you find that maybe your foot feels a little bit sloppy or it could be tighter, that is something that you could do because the top of your sock has to go over your heel to get on. But once you get down to that foot part, it doesn't. So you can actually move down a needle size if you want to snug up that part of the sock, because that part just goes directly onto your foot. You don't have to worry about getting that over your ankle.
No.
And
this is the tricky spot is always right here for me. That's going to slide over that part of my foot with, again, that high instep. So that's
but
what
it's
all
like,
of my
but it's like
issues
the
are.
whole top of that sock though has to get over your ankle.
That's right.
So there's got to have to be enough stretch in that whole part to get over your ankle. But once you're past that heel, if you need that to be snugger, there's no problem with going down sizes, like needle sizes then, because it doesn't have to go over anything.
That's right.
It just goes onto your foot. Yeah. So
yeah, for sure. And I know, like when I'm knitting color work, I make sure that on the on my right hand, needle, I make sure that I keep stretching that
Yep.
fabric out as I go. I don't want those stitches bunched up. I want that nice, even fabric. So I do make sure that I keep sliding that along. And I am knitting this, just for a point of reference, I am knitting this on the 9-inch circulars as well. So, okay.
Okay. And Mickey said that Isolde Teague has a new tutorial on heels for high-end steps. So I'm not sure if she changes it or
I
what,
might go
but it
and look
might
at
be
that.
worth looking at. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. And I keep this. I want to show this too. I have kept this project all year in this cute little Christmas bag. We got this when we went to Chicago. I'm trying to see if there's a maker's name on here. I thought there was somewhere. Oh, yes, there it is. Knick-Knack Knits. Knick-Knack Knits.
Oh. Okay. I'm not even
The
trying
tongue
to
twister. There we go. Knick-Knack. Oops. Okay. Focus. There we go. Knick-Knack Knits Co. And I have kept this little Advent project in this little holiday bag. And it even has, you could see it there. It was like a glittery lining. And I've kept it in here all year. So this has kind of just been like, I don't know, just a fun little project for me throughout the year. And I know where it resides, in a little holiday bag. So I keep it and pull it out once a month to work on it. Okay.
Okay. So my whip to be, not cast on yet, but these are the next socks that I'm going to do. So these are the Weathertop socks by Claire Ellen. Just a minute here, and I'll bring up the banner. So these ones are quite intricate. There's quite a lot of cables all over in them. So I know that that's going to pull in the top of the sock. So this is actually going to be for one of the women. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 72 stitch sock, but it'll be 72 stitches again for the leg of the sock. Once I get down to the heel, I'll keep the full amount of stitches that I'm working with on the top of the socks, but I will decrease the sole portion that's doesn't have any pattern on it. I will decrease that down to 32 stitches, which is what I would normally knit on a regular sock. It would normally be 64, so it would be just 32 for the sole. So I will decrease it down to the 32, but I'll keep the top, because I find that when you've got a diagonal pattern going across the sock, it tends to pull the sock in quite a bit. It
really does.
So that's my plans for that sock. I've got 2 yarns picked out. One's kind of a pumpkin-y color, and one's kind of like a sea green color. I think I might go with the pumpkin-y color.
Very nice.
But anyway, so you will see those started hopefully by next week. So, because I got to stay on track. And then that will be, after that, I will only have mine to knit after that.
Very good.
And the kids. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So then the next thing that I'm working on, and I started this last week just to have as a car project. Because I knit socks for my husband and he decided he liked them and now he wants more socks. So I'm using some Deep Stash. I had West Yorkshire spinner in, was it Bullfinch? Bullfinch. And this is a really nice yarn to work with.
It is nice yarn. I really
like nice yarn.
Spinners.
And I think it's going to be a really hard wearing. So this is kind of what I do with my third needle, by the way. So I'm using Flexi
That's what I do
for this pair. So I just sort of feed it through and it kind of hangs in the sock when I'm not using it. But for right now, I'll take it out. So this is a pair that I cast on for him. This is a 72 stitch sock, and Lordy, do I feel the difference. Just those extra, like, what is it? 8 stitches. Yeah, it's only 8 stitches, but it's 8 stitches make a big difference, because normally I do a 64. So I'm just doing a very basic 3x1 rib for him all the way down. And then I have put in the heel at this point. So I'm still working on the gusset. Show you what I've got done. So I put in a heel flap and gusset, and that's the slip one, knit one, slip one. And then I also did, just for a little bit of extra contrast, I'm doing a garter stitch edging down the side. So I did 3 stitches of garter stitch on both sides. So the one thing that I did do is, because I noticed this in another pattern that we had done, was that you have, so in this case, I have 36 stitches for the heel flap, and doing 3 stitches on either side of the garter leaves you still with that even number. So if you're knitting and slipping, you slip first, knit, slip, knit. You would end with a knit. And I wanted it to end with a slip. So what I did at the beginning of this was that I cast on one extra stitch, just buried it in here somewhere for my heel flap so that I could start with a slip one, which gives this really nice edge. And I'm also ending with a slip one. So because I like them to be symmetrical. The only thing that you do have to remember, and I did that right here before I started my, my heel shaping, I just decreased, I purled 2 of them together. On my last purl across row, I purled 2 together so that the stitch count would work out. But I'm really happy with how this worked out. And again, the heel contrast color for this is another stroll that I'm using. And the color for this is ash. And it's, I think, a pretty good match for this sock. So
yeah, I've knit that actual color before.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I would have liked it for myself, to be honest. I think it's even a color that I would wear, but he quite likes them. He's happy with the colors, and he said those are good for him. So he's on his way to having a 3rd pair of knitted socks from me in 1 year. Okay, and my last project, and this is what I have worked on a little bit this week because I am in love with this project. This is the Alpenglow sweater by Andrea Mowry. And I am now split for sleeves. Just show you where I'm at. Here we go.
Oh, it looks good. Looks really good.
I am in love with this pattern. This is just having the most fun with this. So this is mosaic stitches down here. This is all color work up here. And I'm using, the base is Patagonia by Juniper Moon Farms in Anthracite. And then this, I didn't bring that ball down with me, but this one is, so the other 2 yarns are by Jolene Yarns. And this is her Aura base, which is a Surrey alpaca. So I'm holding that double to get this in here. So it's very, very soft and fluffy. You can see there. And then this yarn here is her Sweet 17 base, which is a fingering, but you can knit it to a sport weight. So the pattern called for this to be knit on a 4mm needle. I actually, or sorry, a 3.5mm needle. For doing the color work, I went up to a 3.75. So just a half needle size, just to give the color a little bit of room, or the strands a little bit of room. And then I'm back down to a 3.5 for the body. And this is the Sweet 17. And I can't remember the name of the color. I'm sorry. I'll have it in my Ravelry. But yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful. And as I said, it is a fingering weight yarn, but you can knit it to a sport weight. And I'm getting gauge with this, no problem. So I've had the try on. And like I said, I'm down underneath the arms now. Not by much, but this is a crop sweater, so it's going to go pretty quick for the rest of the way. This has been an absolute pleasure to knit, everything that I've done on it so far. I have changed the collar, though, and I can talk about that another time. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful. I can't wait to wear this. Can't wait. Okay.
Okay. I do have another whip.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so my last whip is a little hat, and it is the Snow Globe hat by Tin Can Knits.
Oh, I love that pattern.
Where is my, there we go. So this is a Tin Can Knits pattern, and Tin Can Knits pattern, this pattern goes from newborn baby size up to like adult large. So it's out of one of their books, but you can also buy the pattern individually. And I am doing the baby size. I have done this before in pink, but I'm doing this one in blue. So I didn't do the newborn size because the newborn sizes are so small that it hardly fits for any length of time.
Right.
So here's what I've got. And this is, my yarn is, this is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. I'm doing it on, the rib is on a 3.5. The body of the hat is on a 4mm needle. And this is quite heavy yarn. So this is 100% merino. It's non-superwash, and this colorway is called Blue Tit. So I've got another repeat of that to do. And then
that even looks so small.
this is the baby size. And then I've got this pom-pom.
It's the size of that whole hat.
I know. So I have to say, I'm not sure if that's going to be like too big, but it looks so cute to have like a little hat with this big pom-pom on it. But it'll be detachable so that if they want to put a hood up on the baby, they can take the pom-pom off. And if it makes the baby's head go like this, obviously they'll take the pom-pom off. But I think I just love how this is tipped with the blue, and it's just gonna look really nice on that. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So that's, I have to get some more baby knits on the needles, but that's a cute hat. I really like that hat pattern. I wouldn't mind even that hat pattern for me. It is a very nice pattern.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Okay.
All right. I have some yarn to show off that. Do you have any other whips? Are we done with those? Okay.
That was it. I have other whips. I just didn't work on them.
We're running far behind here tonight. But anyway, I got some yarn. Well, I actually got it last Tuesday. But since we were showing all things Rhinebeck, I didn't want this beautiful yarn to get lost in the shuffle because this is yarn. So Deborah from Yarn Indulgences, and she is in New Brunswick, Moncton to be specific. She dyes some beautiful, beautiful yarn. So when she was at Knit City, Toronto, she was showcasing a new base, and her new base is called the Surrey Silk Fluff. And what we like about this Surrey Silk Fluff is that it is, well, aside from the fact that it's unbelievably soft, it is also the same yardage in 50-gram skein as a fingering weight yarn. So, and the reason we like that is if, for instance, you are making a sweater and you have a fingering skein, which is about 430 yards, and you want to pair that with a mohair, a 50-gram skein of mohair doesn't have quite the same yardage. So with this Surrey silk, this is the exact same yardage with 50 grams. And we like that because when you hold the two strands together, it makes for some beautiful sweaters. The thing about the Surrey silk is that it's on the softness scale, it's even that much softer than a mohair. So she brought this with her to Toronto. We fell in love with it. Noelle, you bought some paired with some of her yarn. And I had some yarn that I was thinking of pairing with it. And she very kindly, she didn't have a color there that would be a good match. So she said she would dye some for me. So I sent her home with the skein, and this is the skein of yarn that I wanted to use. So it's got some beautiful taupey colors in it, blue. It's a high twist merino. And this is what she came back. She dyed this yarn for me. Look at this. How beautiful is that? So I now can make a sweater in these two beautiful yarns. But when I opened the package, there were some other goodies in there. So we're going to add these to the prize bin, but I wanted to show you how kind and generous she was. Firstly, she has sent along 2 skeins of this beautiful Surrey Silk Fluff, and this is the colorway Beautiful Sky.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It is like literally, it is the color of clouds on and in those beautiful blue skies that we get, like our winter skies. This is so stunning. So 2 skeins there of that. She also sent along this a luxe silky skein paired with a Surrey Silk Fluff. So I'm thinking this would be amazing for a shawl. Look at those beautiful colors. Look at the dimensions that she dyes. It's absolutely beautiful. And this skein here, this silky, is so soft. So I'm just trying to see. It doesn't say what the makeup is of her silky base. But anyway, so it's 400 yards of the silky and then 437 yards of this fluff. So again, I think this would be an absolutely gorgeous shawl. She also included, she dyes her sock marl. She does like the zebra striping sock marl. And she sent along 3 independent skeins of this as well. So it's 400 yards, again, over 100 grams. This is her colorway Aurora. Just
that's pretty.
Look at those beautiful, stunning purples. Aurora. I like this one is Doodle.
That's pretty too.
Oh, they're all gorgeous. I mean, just look at the pops of color in there. And then the last one that she sent is Bouquet. And of course, this is where my heart lies. Look at this. So, so gorgeous. So she sent that lovely amount of yarn, and I'm just going to add that to the prize coffers. So keep an eye out. We're going to put a link to Deborah's shop, Yarn Indulgences, in the show notes this week. And thank you so much, Deborah. That is incredibly kind and generous to donate that to the podcast. And I'm sure some very lucky people are going to be quite excited to get that.
I'm going to have to go get mine out and knit it now.
I know, right? I can't wait to get going on this. I think this is so pretty. It's just lovely muted colors. Okay.
Okay. So as far as we're running late here, but as far as our knit alongs go, the only one that is ending before next week is the sock knit along. So get your socks in there. You've got a couple more days for October. Get your socks in there. We draw prizes from the beginning of the year until the end of October. So, and the other ones will take a little bit more time. Maybe we'll go through them at the beginning of the night next week so that we don't leave them out. But for right now, get knitting those socks. So yeah. So I did not buy anything this week. Oh, I did. I bought stitch bulb markers because I've used all of mine and I was putting them together when I was putting the cards together to pin them up, and I didn't have any more left. So I actually had to go and get some light bulb stitch markers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the only thing I bought this week. So,
well, I didn't buy, I just received, but that was a very happy mail package to get. I was pretty excited to see that. I did not expect that amount of kindness. So,
and Hilda's saying that the Mitchell store, so Itty Bitty Yarn Co. actually carries some Yarn Indulgence. Very good. So if you live in that area and you want to see it in person. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, friends. That is about all that we have.
Everybody.
Thank everybody.
And enjoy Halloween. I hope you all get to have some of your favorite candy, whatever it may be. and
don't break a tooth.
Don't break a tooth. I will not break a tooth. So so everybody, we hope you have a great week. We're so happy that you took the time to join us tonight. We will see you here next week. Don't forget, go in after, let us know what your favorite Halloween candy is, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner next week. So take care, have a good week, and happy knitting.